Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Ai yai dai dai. Ai dai dai dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Hi, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 nan, die, die, die. Yai, die, die, yan, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. I die, 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 die. I die, 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 die. Ay, ay, die, die. I die, die, die. I die, 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 die. I die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 dun, die, die, die. Yai, die, 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 yan, die, die, die. Yai, die, 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 yan, die, die, die. I die, 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 die. Yai, 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 die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 yan, die, die, die. Sing with me. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 yai, die, die, die. 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 Yai, die, 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 die. Yeah, I want to do for you. Yeah, I want to feel for you. Yeah, I want to know for you. Yeah, I want to be for you. You are doing, you are feeling, you are knowing, you are being, you are doing, you are feeling, you are knowing, you just are. Yeah, I want to do for you. Yeah, I want to feel for you. Yeah, I want to know for you. Yeah, I want to be for you. You are doing, you are feeling, you are knowing, you are being, you are doing, you are feeling, you are knowing, you just are. This is one of Reb Zalman's songs. Welcome, everybody, to Kabbalah 101, Introduction to Kabbalah. This chant that Reb Zalman wrote is a depiction of the four worlds. And I would say the two central themes that we're going to discuss tonight are the four worlds and the Eitz Chaim, the Kabbalistic tree of life. So let me just say that the world of doing, we will learn tonight that that is the physical world of Asiyah. The world of emotions is Yetzirah, that's feeling. The world of knowing, Bariyah, the world of spirit, Atzilut. So let's just sing this a couple of times through and just imagine that you're doing, you're feeling, you're knowing, you are being, you are all of those things simultaneously. Yeah, I want to do for you. Yeah, I want to feel for you. Yeah, I want to know for you. Yeah, I want to be for you. You are doing, you are feeling, you are knowing, you are being, you are doing, you are feeling, you are knowing, you just are. Okay. This teaching Kabbalah is a very difficult challenge, I have to say, especially in the beginning. There's so many very obscure concepts. And Kabbalah itself is a very experiential practice. It's not, there's more than just head and book learning. It's Kishka learning. It's deeper than that. And so the other problem, besides it being experiential, and incidentally, we are going to experience tonight because we're gonna do a couple of more different kinds of chants. We're gonna do a couple of Kabbalistic meditations. But before we really get underway, let's do a centering meditation. So close your eyes, make yourselves comfortable. Focus your mind on the movement of your breath. Let go of all the tension in your body. Relax every part of you. Start with your neck and your shoulders. Work your way down to your toes. Breathe in and out while focusing your mind on the movement of your breath. Let everything else fade into the background, the sounds around you, any noise coming from outside, all the thoughts whirling around your head. Let it all recede far off into the distance until they disappear from your awareness, and there's nothing left but the movement of your breath. And as you feel your body relax, your emotions quiet down, your mind becomes still, feel that my body, mind, and spirit are all aligned together, and that you are resonating with the rhythm of your whole being. Continue to breathe. Feel the connection with everyone in this Zoom meditation room, no matter where we are across the globe. With each inhalation, draw the Ruach Elohim, the divine life force inside of you, and let it fill your whole being. And with each exhalation, clear away all negativity, clear away all anxiety and stress within you. Let it flow from you and dissipate into nothingness. With each inhalation, draw in joy and hope and well-being. And with each exhalation, expel any anger, fear, despair, and any other negative emotions built up inside of you. Watch them flow from you and dissolve away. Now, for a moment, just rest in the stillness and the silence. And open your eyes, wiggle your fingers and your toes, look around the Zumagog and see who's here. And let me give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come. Okay, here's our syllabus for tonight. I'm going to define Kabbalah. What is Kabbalah? And we'll just follow who Kabbalah, when Kabbalah, where Kabbalah, and why Kabbalah. We will look at a real brief history. I mean, there's anything in the Jewish tradition is millennium old. So we'll give just a little bit of an outline, what's mostly relevant for tonight's discussion. And then I really want to define some Kabbalistic terms and concepts that Rabbi Marc uses in his teachings, in his drashes, and in services. And then we'll experience some Kabbalistic meditations, some more chanting, and finally we'll do some Q&A. We'll have some questions and answers. And I think save your questions for the end, because I have to say that when you teach Kabbalah, there's a chicken and an egg problem. I mean, so many concepts to understand, and so many concepts are dependent on other concepts. And so sometimes you have to backtrack and then move forward. And so unless there's some real something that really needs clarification, that you really can't wait, then interrupt, raise your hand, or better yet, just unmute yourself and say you have a question. I'm not really technologically savvy for this, so I have a hard time doing my presentation and looking at the Zoomagog and all that. So you can help me out by or I can ask the Zumba, if you see somebody with their hand raised, call on them, and then they can unmute. That would even be better. Okay, so we'll define Kabbalah. I mean, what it means is to receive. Kabbalah is a verb, to receive. Receive from what, or from whom? I'm going to say from God. I'm going to use the God word. And I'm gonna do a working definition of God for the purposes of tonight's discussion. So this might be your concept of God, maybe not so much, but for the sake of argument, just follow along with me for what I mean by God. And I'll use this term to be another verb, being, to be, being. God is ising, godding. Reality itself is God. But let me go a little bit deeper about this, because this is important. Think of an all-knowing consciousness. An all-knowing consciousness. At the same time, a loving, feeling love energy. At the same time, we'll say energy, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, just like I said I would. So just keep in mind that what I'm talking about is is you're going to have to use your imagination. I'm talking about some concepts that cannot be perceived with our physical senses. So I say a word energy. This physical world is made up of matter. When I talk about God and the spiritual world, I'm talking about energy. This world, body, klipot is what we would say in Hebrew, a husk, a shell. And energy is spirit, the soul level. So we exist in this manifest universe. And it's important to note that in this physical universe, we have free will. We can choose good and evil. We live in a world of duality. And we're not robots, we have choice. So I'm saying God then is this all one consciousness, all intellect, all feeling. And now this is a roundabout way of giving the definition of Kabbalah. So hang in there with me. This will all come clear, and I'll come in for a landing in a minute. Okay, so the best way to describe God and Kabbalah is actually to tell a little bit about the story of creation. So imagine that this one consciousness wants to create something. It would first start with a yearning. This is some people call this God's will. And later on, we'll learn a term, atzilut, emanation. Okay, so there's a yearning for something, and then God contracts itself, God's self, to make room for something else. And we call this Bariah, the level of creation. So first we have an idea. It's just a yearning for something, then it's an idea. It becomes a blueprint for something. It isn't anything yet. It's just an idea about something. So God will say has a yearning, and then contracts itself. We call that simsam, and makes room for something. And then we have the level of formation, forming something. And I'm giving a brief outline of this, but then I'm going to come back and define these things in much more detail. Okay? And then in this manifest creation, God creates humanity. Okay? So now God wants to communicate with this, whatever it is that God created. And the creation's ability to receive this communication is what we call Kabbalah. It is the art and science of receiving from God. The art and science of receiving from God. So again, first there's a yearning, then there's an idea, then there's a blueprint, then there's construction phase, and then there's completion. And finally, we have Shabbat, a time to rest and reflect on what was created. Okay? So, and there's different levels of this transmission. We have individual reception. We have communal reception, as in the children of Israel at Mount Sinai. We have all of humanity's reception, as in the rainbow after the flood. So the term Kabbalah is a very, very broad and inclusive. But again, for the sake of argument, I'm just going to use that as a generality of receiving. And when I say art, you will see it's not all cut and dried. There's an art and a science. So I will talk about some scientific terms. For example, I just said Tzimtzum, that there's a contraction. Scientists call that the Big Bang. So we can put some spirituality and science are very much related in Kabbalah. We say that there's a science of Kabbalah. So now, where does all this come from? So I'm just going to give an outline of the history. Really, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Any of these concepts that I'm talking about, I can spend hours and hours on. In fact, we do spend hours and hours of study on any one of these things. So a lot of mysticism comes from Ezekiel's vision of the Merkavah, the chariot of fire, that is up in the heavens. Ezekiel has a vision, a prophecy, and so there were Merkava mystics who tried to duplicate that and go deep into meditative states, and well, they weren't Hasidim, but their followers would take notes on what these people would experience in their deep meditative states. And so really, Kabbalah, this form, comes out from the Merkava mystics. There were actually schools of prophecy in our history where prophecy was actually taught, the skills of prophecy. And then we talk about the Zohar, and that again is another controversial thing. When was the Zohar written? And there were many other books of mysticism throughout the history. But I really want to focus on one particular energy center of Kabbalah, and that was the followers of Rabbi Isaac Luria, better known as the Ari in Sfat in the 15th and 16th century. And so the Kabbalists really, this was an oral tradition. There were secret societies. There were certain requirements to learn Kabbalah. You had to be male. You had to be really steeped in Torah study. You had to be 40 years old. You had to be married, which was essentially sexually balanced. And we're talking about lots of powerful energies here. And there's all kinds of warnings in our history about the power of this kind of energy. One of the best known stories is the four rabbis who go into meditative states. One of them comes out and he's gives up Judaism completely. Another one comes out and he goes crazy. Another one comes out and he commits suicide. And the story goes, only Rabbi Akiva comes out whole after this experience. And so these are just warnings that, and again, you have to look at the time periods of this. People always ask, well, how come Kabbalah is so popular now? Well, we really think that because humanity itself has evolved, and many traditions we are seeing a flourishing of the mystical traditions, and so really Kabbalah isn't the only tradition that has flourished in many years. Now, the only other thing I really want to mention in terms of the history would be where we come to where we are now. And I will say that the Baal Shem Tov that we refer to, Rabbi Mark refers to all the time about the Baal Shem Tov or Rebbe Nachman or Bratslav and the other Hasidic masters. Well, in the Carpathian Mountains, the Baal Shem Tov in the 17th and 18th century really was unsatisfied with mainstream Judaism that said that the only way to God is through the intellect and Torah study. And so he took all the Kabbalistic teachings and taught them to the masses. And came out with all other kinds of methods to teach through storytelling, visualization, imagination. And so, and then, so there was a whole Hasidic movement. You know, we say Hasidic, and a lot of times, unfortunately, that is very misconstrued. People think, oh, Hasidah, that means New York and, you know, payas and black hats and coats. Well, the origins of the Hasidic movement were far from that. So let me just say that then I have to say I grew up in conservative Judaism, and it didn't do it for me. It became the form without the substance, and I ran away from it. And I met Reb Zalman in 1979 and discovered there was this thing called Jewish Renewal, which was essentially a neo-Hasidic movement. It was Shlomo Carlebach and Reb Zalman were two Lubavitcher rabbis who were charged by the Lubavitcher Rebbe to go out to like college campuses and bring back the youth back into Judaism. And out of that, Jewish renewal came along. And we're lucky it did, because Rabbi Mark got his smicha from Reb Zalman. And all of what we do on Shabbos morning, this is all comes out of Jewish renewal, which is based on Kabbalah, and particularly the four worlds. And we'll see later how this manifests itself. Our Sidur, the structure of our services is all based on Kabbalah and the four worlds. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. All right, I talked for a while. There is also many other Kabbalists who use all kinds of meditations in their practices. There's Hippododo, which is talking directly to God. There is sound and vibration. There is numerology, which is taking combinations of the Hebrew letters and giving them numerical value and seeing that certain words add up to other words and there's connections between them and the relationship between these concepts and words. It's a whole thing. Abraham Abulafia, another Kabbalist, I believe in the 16th century, did a lot with sound and vibration. So let's do a little exercise. And so different sounds produce different vibrations, and different vibrations produce different kinds of energy within a person. So I will I will chant a sound, and you chant it after me. All right? Oh, and we'll chant that together. Oh, ah, together. Ah, e, 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 ooh, ooh. And this last one doesn't even come from our tradition. Om, om. Many traditions use sounds. Um, so, um, and also, not only does the structure of our services come from Kabbalah, but a lot of the prayers themselves, Lecha Dodi, welcoming the Sabbath, Kabbalah, Shabbat, receiving the Sabbath, um, comes from Sfat at a time where the Hasidim really did go out into the fields and welcome the Shekhinah, the feminine aspect of God, into the midst of the community. This was not concept to them. This was reality to them. Adon Olam, that we have our animals to. Let's check out the words to that sometime. It's a Kabbalistic prayer. And you'd recognize some of the Kabbalistic concepts that come from it. Okay. Now I really want to get into some detail. Okay. I'm going to put up a screen share. And there's two concepts that come side by side: the four worlds, which I've mentioned, and the Eitz Hachayim, the Kabbalistic tree of life. Okay, so I tried to give a working definition of God before. I didn't do so hot on that because it's very hard to do. But again, I'm going to give it another shot in this context. Okay, so God as the energy of pure, infinite light has no beginning and no end. We call that the Ein Sof. So the spiritual level of oneness of all of everything, of reality, the beingness containing the world's biggest library, all knowledge, as Reb Zalman would say, hardware, or hard drive rather, the reservoir of all love, the totality of all unconditional love of the universe, infused into every life form and every piece of matter. So I'm talking about both transcendent and immanent. Okay. So this level that I'm just describing is the first level of the four worlds, a level of pure being, a level of pure light. Light I'm using as pure consciousness, pure awareness, not necessarily a light from the sun or from a flashlight, the light of pure being, pure consciousness. That's the level of Atzilut, okay? We call that the spiritual level. Let me put up this screen share, because then I can talk about it and show it at the same time. Well, it worked. Yay. Okay, so I already said Ein Sof, the infinite one. And so Atzilut, the spiritual or the soul level. And before I tried to describe during the creation, emanation. This is the level that uh, comes, the Ein Sof has a yearning, and then we get to the emanation, becomes an idea of something, not a reality, an idea. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, you can see on the right side, four worlds. The next level is what we call Bariyah, the level of the intellectual. So in our model, um, um, let me go back to the creation story, because this is a really good way of understanding it. Okay. So let's say that like I said before, the Ein Sof decides that he wants to create a world that resembles itself. Okay. So at this level, it's not even an idea, like I said. All right. So it's the will to have an idea. I know that's a little bit out there concept. The will, the yearning to have an idea. So this energy knows that there's only one of itself, and thus the oneness is the most powerful energy ever, so powerful that there's no container that can hold it. But the oneness has a yearning to create something, and no thing exists, only itself, a oneness. So it has to make room for something. So, like I said before, the oneness contracts itself, tzimtzum. Now there's room to put something in. All right. So God makes an effort to create something, and it's disastrous. The energy is so powerful, this infinite Ein Sof is such a powerful spiritual energy that it's a disaster. The containers can't contain it. It's too powerful. It shatters the containers, and sparks of this spirit, shards, go all over the universe. And as I said, we call that a big bang. So now God sort of learns by this mistake and makes a series of filters to contain this energy. So notice how I had to backtrack to give this concept. So I said God made a mistake. Take that very lightly, please. We'll learn that this so-called mistake is really part of the eternal divine plan. But so now, as I backtracked, the energy comes down. It's being filtered now from Atzilut into Bariyah, and the energy comes down and filters as the intellectual level, and that's the creation. That's the blueprint. Now the idea becomes a blueprint for something. Okay. It's still too powerful energy. So God formulates another world called Yetzirah, formation. This is the emotional world. Something now is taking shape. To me, this is the most amazing world. I tell people, when I talk about these spiritual things, I said, the world of feeling is the most amazing miracle of all, how we can come out of the primordial soup and beyond. You can talk about electrical or chemical impulses of the brain, but the fact that we can love as an organism, to me, is a miracle. It's, to me, it's evidence that there's something greater than ourselves. Anyway, so this world, by the way, is this is the angelic kingdom. We say when we talk about angels, we're talking about the world of Yetzirah, this emotional world. That's another whole concept that we're not going to get to tonight. Okay, so the world of the Ein Sof. Um, oh, let me finish this part. Okay, so now the energy filters down and the containers can hold this energy. And this is the purpose of humanity in Kabbalah. The purpose of humanity is to be the container for God's energy. In the Jewish literature, we call this Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, or heaven. And the world manifests, this physical universe that we, of humanity and of the physical, we call Asiyah. And so the God energy pours through these filters, gets transformed, comes down to us at this level, and now we can use our senses, on this physical level, solid things we can hear, we can see, we can taste, we can smell. And so this fourth world, Asiya, is the world of action, doing, but the world is still broken. As I said before, the world shattered. And so when we talk about Tikkun Olam, we're the other purpose of humanity is to be a partner with God and to fix the broken world. So, we've heard Rabbi Mark talk about collecting the shards of life, of light, and this is what we're talking about. So we have Tikkun Olam, the fixing of the world. And in order us to fully resemble godliness, we are charged with completing the creation and making it whole again. So we're the vessels to contain the light. And in order to contain as much light as we can of actually bringing heaven down to earth, then that's why we work on ourselves. That's why we have spiritual growth, because we want to be able to contain as much of that pure light as we possibly can. So we have a soul level, we have a mind, we have a heart, and we have a body. And this truly makes us in the image of God. So now to understand the four worlds better, let me switch to a different Kabbalistic chart, okay? Oops. Give me a moment. Here we go. Okay. Now, I've talked about the Eitz Chaim and the Kabbalistic tree of life, which we saw in the other diagram here at the bottom right, there are these circles with these lines between them. And what that represents are different energy centers. So when we say we're made in God's image, these energy centers are different attributes of God. I know I'm personifying this, but these are different attributes. In other words, if we were to personify God, look at the different structures of energy that God represents, we look at that in terms of these energy centers or sephirot. Those of you familiar with Musar will recognize the term midot. Those are different um, characteristics of our behavioral characteristics. Same thing, sphero, midot, they're really the same thing. And then the lines between them, there's 32 pathways that these energies take. That's another whole discussion about the pathways between the sphero. I've talked for a while, and what I'd like to do is take a little bit of a time out from this head learning and go back to a meditation. Yeah. And in the meditation, we are going to talk about some of these energy centers. So let me just point out before I do that, actually, I made a little mistake here. I should have kept the other one up first. Let me go back to that screen share because that's important. Yeah. Okay. So these are the energy centers of the structure of the Eitz Chaim. Again, these are attributes of God personified. However, just the reverse is also true. These are human attributes. So when I say we are made in God's image, we have this same structure as a human being. And so we have a head, keter, at the top. That's the first sphera, keter. Then we have a right brain and a left brain. We have Chachma on the right, Bina on the left. So that represents wisdom and understanding, left brain, right brain. Then we have the arm, so to speak, of the structure, chesed on the right, which is loving kindness, gevura on the left, which is, we can say, power, strength. Then we have the heart space, Tiferet. Now notice on the right where it says 4 worlds, I said Tiferet, that lines up with Yetzirah, the world of emotion that we talked about before. And if I go back up and I talk about the right brain and the left brain, Chachma and Bina, we see that that's the Bariya level, the intellectual level. And the Keter is the first level, the head. The top of the head is where the Keter level is. And that is the first level that the light comes down to us. We receive it through Keter, and then it circulates down through the energy pathways to all the other sephirot. Then we have Netzach Hod, which we could say are the legs. And we come down to Asiyah, which we would say is the physical level. We have Yesod, which we can say is the genital center, and that is the center of creativity. And then we have Malchut level, the bottom level, which is the realm or this plane of existence. And we can also call that Shekhinah, the feminine aspect of God. And that's how Judaism looks at that God manifests in this level, in this plane of existence. We call that Shekhinah or Malchut. Sometimes in the Kabbalah, we use that interchangeably. Also, this is a hologram. So each one of these energy centers contain all 10 of the energy centers. So there's another whole dynamic there. And that's for Kabbalah 102, not for tonight. So now I can go to the other screen share, because now it'll make sense. And then once I go to the other screen share, then we're going to do the meditation. I have to give the raw materials first. Let me get out of this one. Oops. And screen share. New screen share. Oh, did it again. 3 for 3. All right. So, and by the way, when we talk in Kabbalah about the Eitz HaHachaim, the tree of life, we can either talk about the supernal tree of life, which, like I said, I'm talking about the structure of the divine, or we can talk about the personal Eitz Chaim, which is our own individual Eitz Chaim. So sometimes I use the terms cosmic, divine, supernal. I'm using those interchangeably. All right. So what I wanted to show in this diagram is that a lot of us are familiar, even more so than in the Jewish tradition. We're familiar with the yogic tradition of chakras, that we have 7 chakras. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that this is equivalent to the Jewish notion of the 10 Sefirot, because in our system, we have Keter, and then we have 3 sets of dual Sefirot. We have Chochmah Binah. Now, those two are related. Like I said before, right brain, left brain. But in the yogic tradition, they consider that one. We consider Chochmah Binah really to be 2 halves of the whole. And then we do the same with Chesed and Gevurah. In fact, in our system, and we'll notice some of this in our prayer book, and in our biblical stories, Avraham is the archetype of chesed, loving kindness. Isaac is the archetype of chesed, or we can say strength or boundaries. And the balance point, the heart space, Tiferet, or beauty, is the balance point between the two. And that's Jacob. But nevertheless, so we have Keter, which is the top of the head. Then we have the third eye, which happens between the eyebrows and a little above. That's Chochmah Binah. or the third eye of inner vision in the yogic system. Then we have the throat chakra, Chesed Gevurah, which is speech. Then we have the heart space, Tiferet. And then we have another duality, Netzach Hod, victory or eternity splendor, Netzach Hod. And then we have foundation, Yesod, which is the genital center. And then we have Malchut, which is really the base of the spine. And so that's what this represents in here. All right. So, also to bring to your attention, you can see that in this diagram at the top, we have the name of God, Yud He Vav He, written horizontally, and Yud He Vav He written vertically. And that lines up with the four worlds, as we saw in the other diagram. So Yud is the realm of the spirit, Atzilut. He is the realm of the intellect, Bariyah. The Vav, the spine, is the representation of the heart space, Yetzirah, and the bottom He is Asiyah. Now, what I really like to show people, that if we were to look at a diagram of a tree, we would see the same configuration. The Yud would be the top of the tree. The He would be the branches of the tree. The Vav would be the trunk of the tree. And the bottom He would be the root system of the tree. And so it's the same structure. So I devised a little bit of a chant that goes, the DNA, Yud He Vav He, it is our DNA. Yud He Vav He, it is our DNA. It's a little cute, but it really goes to show that if we can, we can show a picture of even the animal. It's the same structure, DNA structure throughout creation. It's really amazing. And there are Kabbalists who have dabbled in, I have the book from Aryeh Kaplan's book, Inner Space. And in that book, he talks about the strands of DNA and how they resemble the strands of the Kabbalistic tree. It's mind-blowing. All right, let's go into meditation. So once again, find yourself in a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Let go of tension. Relax your body. Start with your neck and your shoulders. Work your way down to your toes. Begin to breathe in and out in a normal fashion, focusing your mind on the intake and outflow of your breath. Let everything fade into the background. Sounds, thoughts, feelings. Let nothing exist except for the movement of your breath. And as you breathe, your emotions calm down. Your thoughts become still. You feel that your whole being is resonating with the rhythm of your breath. Feel that you're resonating with the rhythm of all of life. You're resonating with the inhalation and the exhalation of the divine breath. Now focus your mind on the Sphira of Netzach Hod. That's the center just above the navel. Netzach Hod is your center of your emotions. All of the emotional energy is concentrated in this Sephirah. And as we experience various feelings during the day, they build up a powerful vibration. And as you focus on this center, with each inhalation, draw the pure, positive energy of the divine life force within you and feel it spread throughout your whole being. And then with each exhalation, clear away any negativity, stress, and strain from your being and let it dissolve into nothing. And on each inhalation, breathe in joy, well-being, and hope. Exhale, expel anger, fear, and despair, and any other negative emotions. Let them pour out from you and dissolve away. Now move the focus of your attention to the heart center, to Ferret, or beauty. This is the Sephirah where the beauty of each person's soul is revealed. The heart chakra is the focus of the energy of divine love, which is the spiritual life force of the universe. And with each inhalation, draw the energy of divine love, the spiritual life force of the universe, into your being. And when you exhale, send that love out across the world. Inhale the energy of God's all-embracing love. Feel it flow into your whole being, awaking your inner beauty to the radiance of life. And when you exhale, send that love out to the world. Now reach up into the divine heart at the center of the cosmic tree that underlines all of existence. And with each inhalation, draw down that supernal love into your consciousness. Open your heart wide to receive as the divine love comes flooding in, filling your whole being with divine light and love and beauty. And with each exhalation, send that divine love out into the world. Send that love to all the people who feel isolated and alone, who feel abandoned and unloved, to all the people who are waiting to feel God's love and to experience their own inner beauty. Now slowly shift the focus to the head center, the Sephirah of Chachma Binah, wisdom, understanding, referred to the east as the third eye of inner vision. This is the spot between your eyebrows and just above. And as you focus your mind on this Sephirah, inhale and draw in the energy of peace, calm, and tranquility into your consciousness. Let it fill your whole being. And with each exhalation, send that quiet and inner stillness out across our restless and noisy world. And once again, reach up to the cosmic tree that underlies all of existence, the world where there's eternal peace, where everything is in harmony, where everything is one, in which with each inhalation, draw down that celestial peace into your consciousness. Feel it come streaming into your mind like it's flowing right from the Garden of Eden. And with each exhalation, send that heavenly peace out into the world, to all the people and places where there's conflict and there's strife, where there's chaos, where there's confusion, where there's a war going on within and a battle taking place without. Now, in the stillness, in the silence, just take a moment to breathe normally. And slowly return to outer awareness. Feel the chair underneath you. Feel your feet on the floor, your arms and your hands and your fingers. Hear the sounds in the room. Be aware of all the MOShniks in your presence. And take one last deep breath. So I'd like just to go through a few more concepts and then open it up for questions and answers. I have to take this share down. Okay. Let's see. There we go. So, let's talk about the prayer book a little in our MOSH services. Because I think that when you really look at this, you'll really have a better understanding of where Rabbi Marc goes during services. So services start in the world of Asiya, the physical world. And if we examine the prayers, you'll notice that the prayers in the prayer book, and by the way, some of the prayers in the prayer book are prayers that are said at home when we wake up in the morning. And so the rabbis, it's funny, some of the prayers that were in the prayer book and the services, they moved to at home, and sometimes they move the ones that are home into services. But anyways, the prayers that you'll look at, if you look at the structure, they're prayers that involve breathing. Not tonight, but I can go in and show the individual prayers out of the MOSH Siddur or any Siddur and show that, oh, wow, this prayer involves breathing, the morning blessings, our movement. So waking up the body, the prayer in the morning blessings, it says, Reb Zalman says in this book, you get out of bed and you stretch and you thank God for having you be able to straighten up from bending low. And so there's stretching and movement and so on. And then we go to Yetzirah, which I happen to think that Rabbi Marc does the incredible job of Yetzirah. And that's psalms and songs and things that really open the heart, open up that Yetzirah space. And all of this is to prepare for meditation. That's what all of the beginning of the prayers, all of this is a preparation for meditation. And that's what happens in yoga also. All the postures and all that is preparation for the meditation where you are receiving Kabbalah, receiving communication from God. So then we go to Bariya, the world of the mind. And so we want to know God. That's the Shema, via Hafta, and we know God, Shema Yisrael. And that's the Shema and the blessings that come before and after Shema. And then finally, the spiritual world, the Amidah, is the silent standing prayer where we stand before God this is meditation, and to some extent, depending on the service you're in, there's guided meditation. We do the blessings. Somebody chants the first blessings of Amidah in Moshe, and then we go into silent prayer. And then we have a Torah system, a Torah service where we're receiving wisdom. We're receiving more wisdom from God. So that's a lot of material for one night. I have to ask Alessandra a question, because Alessandra once asked me, could I explain what the meaning of echad is? And so I started. I think this was echad number 2, part 2, looking at Kabbalah. What is echad? Echad is the oneness. And now, because people sometimes look at this whole structure. I thought God was one. How can you have 10 Sefirot and all that? That's not one. Well, this is just a description of the attributes, so that in this form we can understand God a little bit better. Sometimes it could really have the reverse effect. When you talk in terms of personification, I don't want anybody to feel that I'm talking about a personified God up in a male figure with a beard and that kind of thing at all. So there's you have to be careful when you talk in personified language. Any questions? No?
Oh, I've got lots of questions, but it'll take hours to get through it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting when you mentioned Ezekiel and the vision and the chariot. I read a book not too long ago called Rabbi Jesus. It's by an Episcopalian priest. And he feels that, okay, shaking your head, yes. He surmises that Jesus was very knowledgeable about Ezekiel and that vision, and that he took this on for himself in his ministry, which is not terribly recognized in the way the Gospels and the New Testament are written. It seems to be kind of lost. But I thought that was very interesting that that was part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'd be happy to talk about that further, but at some other time.
The Merkavah mystics were the precursor to the Kabbalists. We could talk hours about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So I'd like to finish up now with a chant that Rabbi Marc uses sometimes. And in the context of what we just studied in Kabbalah, it will become clearer what this chant means, because it's a 4 worlds chant. I'm gonna sing it for you just once or twice through. It is, well, I'm gonna say it first. It is perfect. Okay, that's the world of Asiya, the creation. It is perfect. You are loved. That is Yetzirah. All is clear. Bariyah. And I am holy. Atzilut. So it is perfect. You are loved. all is clear, and I am holy. Now, with apologies to Reb Zalman, I've used the same melody and I've changed the words a little bit. My words to this chant are the universe evolving, Asiya, the physical universe. We are love, universal consciousness, and sacred oneness, Atzilut. So the physical level, the universe evolving, we are love, universal consciousness, and sacred oneness. Amen. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate that.
And thank you, Mark, so much. It was a brilliant sharing of Kabbalah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I will see you all on Shabbat.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Devorah, for being gazoom by once again.
You're welcome.
I saw Renee disappeared on us.